I just want to know what it's like just to see life with sober eyes. Because I was getting high in the morning, and then sometime in the afternoon I was getting high. And then in the evening I would get high as well. And so my entire day was experienced through the eyes of someone that had a distorted awareness. And so I prayed and I said, God, I just would, please, I just want to know what it is like to see life with sober eyes. And interesting enough, God heard me and healed me. But what is so fascinating is that it took 2 weeks for me to notice that I was not getting high. That astounds me. Even to this day, I find it astonishing. But it is the truth. It took me 2 weeks before I noticed that I hadn't gotten high. And the moment that I noticed it was when I was in a crowd of my regular friends and someone, passed me a stick of pot. And I took it, and then I said, no, never mind. No, I don't want it. And that's when I realized, okay, wow, you haven't smoked. You haven't done anything, any kind of drug in 2 weeks. Soon after that, without any conscious or purposeful intention, I lost interest in my friends. I just found them boring and just no longer interesting. And at this time I was in my first or second year of college. And I dropped my associations with all these friends and slowly, very, very slowly, got to know new people. And now here I am, I'm talking about manifesting things, right? I'm talking about changing who you are and changing your life. And this is all, we manifest many, many different things. In these two instances, I manifested a different state of mind, and I changed my immediate environment. When I got out of college, I was able to afford a very nice apartment in the high rise, and my life was really, really different because, as I said, my father decided that we would live in the inner city. So anyway, after college, I got this really nice apartment in the outskirts of Philadelphia in a great area. The apartment building had a pool and this huge lobby where you could sit there and look out the window at the trees and the nice people walking by. And so at this point I'm a social worker, and I'm not making much money at all, but initially it seems like a whole lot of money, until it came to trying to save up for things like a car. And soon I started thinking, giving my money to this landlord, I should probably have my own house. I was always very money conscious, very practical when it came to money. And what could I do? The only thing I could do to increase my salary was either get a second job, try to change fields, or do investing. I didn't want to change fields because I really enjoyed working with the population that I was working with, and I was learning so much about myself because working with these individuals was so challenging. I'd be in one moment speaking with a biological parent who was homeless and on drugs and had this huge chip on his or her shoulder. And then the next moment I'm on the phone speaking with a lawyer discussing what are we going to do when we go to court regarding this particular case. So I had to develop many, many skills because I was working with all kinds of people. And the success of my career was very dependent on how well did I work with these people. But long story short, I decided, well, I love life too much to want to have a second job and therefore not really have a life anymore. I didn't want to change fields, as I just said. So I decided, well, I'm actually going to move back home, save up money, and buy an investment property. I'm not going to buy my own home first, because if I buy my own home, then I won't be able to buy an investment property, and I'll be stuck in the same situation as I was in when I rented, because all of my income would be going to a mortgage instead of to rent. And yes, it would be going to me, but that's not extra money in my pocket. And so I decided, well, I'll move back home and save my money, and then look for an investment property. Now, as I move home and I'm saving money and I'm thinking about this goal and picturing myself owning a property and becoming a landlord, I'm experiencing incredible fear. In fact, one of the fears that I entertained was, what if you never get a tenant? Okay, what if I never get a tenant? Not what if it's hard if you get a tenant? What if you never get a tenant? And that pretty much floored me for a while, and very much cooled down my pursuit of looking for investment properties. But what I did to combat that fear is I found this really great book on investing. And the gentleman that wrote the book talked about purchasing a property, how to screen people, and just all sorts of things. And the more I read that book, the more confident I became. And anytime I would experience a fear, even though I was already reading the book, I would just revert back maybe to a chapter that was particularly inspiring, and I would read that chapter and find myself feeling quite ambitious again. And so I purchased my investment property at a really low amount. So much, my mortgage was so small that renting the first floor, it was a triplex, by the way, renting the first floor took care of everything. So the second and third floor was just money in my pocket. With that first property, I was making more money in that investment property than I was making as a social worker. And that gave me, when I finally purchased and when I became a landlord, that really changed things for me. Then I really started to understand that we can manifest things and change our lives. And not only did I become a landlord of an investment property, but my relationships with the tenants was so incredible that as the years progressed, I usually rented to young men who were in college because it was near a university. And my relationship with them became so great that when one would move out, he wouldn't want me to have to look for a tenant, and so he would find a friend that needed a place. And this still goes on to this day, that when someone leaves, they don't want me to have to look for a tenant, and they find people and friends who are in need of an apartment. So that in itself is also me manifesting wonderful relationships. So when I talk to you about manifesting, I really do want you to understand that I have experienced some of the trials and tribulations that occur when we want to fulfill a dream, and I know what these fears are for myself, and I realize that because I've had these fears, many others are going to have similar fears. And so I won't be able to relate to everyone, and not everyone will be able to relate to me, but this will speak to many people, and hopefully give you the inspiration and the dedication and hope that you too can manifest and create your life in a way that is particular to your personality and to who you are as an individual. Thank you.